Hey guys, what's up? It's Fern. Welcome back to another Planty video. Thank you so much for joining me. So today we are going to be doing a favorites video, which I'm very excited about because I only do these videos every 3 months. So it's always fun to kind of gather up the plants that I have been really in love with over the past few months and show them off to you and talk about them. So I have selected, I think 12 plants again this time to show you. And yeah, I'm so excited to talk about them. Some of them are definitely giving me like the kind of spooky season fall vibes. As we know, this is my favorite time of the year, so this video could not have fallen on a better month. Also, this video is kindly sponsored by Skillshare, which I feel is the perfect sponsor for right now because whenever we go into the fall, I always just feel like, you know, really buckling down and either learning a new hobby or just getting more organized, and I'm really kind of entering back into that era. As someone who's self-employed, I find Skillshare to be super helpful. I always turn to them whenever I need inspiration for time management or productivity kind of stuff. And I recently decided that I wanted to get back into bullet journaling, something that I used to do and I fell off of it years ago, and then it came back into my brain and I was like, you know what? I feel like that's something that could really work for me right now. So I hopped onto Skillshare, and of course they had an amazing class for that. If you haven't heard of Skillshare before, they're an amazing online community for creatives. They have thousands of different classes that are led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and so much more. Skillshare is perfect for anyone who wants to learn or improve a hobby, or maybe start a side hustle, or if you're like me and you're self-employed and, you know, there's like a million different skills that you could learn to level up your work. So the class that I recently took and loved was called Bullet Journaling Life Management for Creatives. I was super impressed with this class. I felt like the teacher did such a good job of being thorough yet easy to follow, and there was a whole lesson that was a quick start guide, and it actually walked you through setting up your bullet journal. And that's exactly what I did, and now I am a bullet journaling girly again. Like I said, I feel like fall is just the perfect time to learn something new, so if you're feeling the same way, the first 500 people to click the link down below in the description box will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this portion of the video. Okay, so the first plant that I have to show you is one that I've really fallen in love with lately. I've actually had this plant for over 2 years now, I think, and I've always liked it and I've always appreciated it for a certain reason, which I'll talk about. But as of lately, I have just completely fallen in love with it, and that is my Ludisia discolor. This is a type of jewel orchid. It has stunning dark foliage, like literally black. The other day I said that I thought my Begonia fannie moser was the darkest plant in my collection, but now that I'm looking at this one might even be darker. A lot of plants are marketed as being black foliage and they're really just a dark green, but this like literally looks black. Like she is so dark and velvety. And I think now that she has just started to fill out, like this is definitely the biggest I've grown this plant. Now that she's started to really fill out, I feel like she looks kind of crazy the way that I'm holding her, but when she's sitting on the shelf that she lives on, she looks just so stunning, sprawling like this. But yeah, she's filling out now, so I feel like I'm just really starting to appreciate her foliage. She looks so healthy and happy, which I'm really excited about because she is going to be in very good condition to bloom for me this winter. Yes, she is a winter bloomer, and that has been the main thing that I've loved about this plant, or like why I guess why I've kept it in my collection, because there's been times where I've been like, do I really need this plant? But then I'm like, but it blooms in December, and that is just such a nice pick-me-up in the winter time. So I've always kept it. But yeah, now I'm totally in love with the foliage too. Like she's just so gorgeous. I feel like this is such an underrated plant. So yeah, I'm here to share it with y'all and just give her the love and attention that she deserves. So she gives out white flowers in the winter, which is such a just lovely contrast with the dark foliage as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to get blooms again from her this winter. This is such an easygoing plant. She likes a bit lower of light and just grows really well. Not a fast grower by any means. Yeah, definitely not a fast grower, but I kind of like that because if this grew really fast, I feel like it would just get unruly and out of control, but it's a more slow growing plant, so I can kind of keep up with it a little bit better. So yeah, really recommend this one if you're looking for something like this with dark velvety foliage that is going to bloom in the winter time. Yeah, I think that it's such a unique plant, and I really am so glad that I've kept this in my collection, because there were times in the past when I kind of considered getting rid of it, just like for downsizing reasons. But no, I'm definitely gonna be keeping this. I love her so much. So yeah, that's the first plant. Okay, so the next plant that I'm going to be talking about is my Hoya priktai, which, as you can see, is a large leafed Hoya. Now, I feel like this plant has really been catching my eye lately because it's put out a couple of new leaves that are just so gorgeous. So these two came out pretty much at the same time, and I was kind of shook when I saw these. This was growing in the south-facing window, and I was scared that the leaves were gonna come out a little bit bleached, like these lower ones. But then I pulled this out of the window to check on the new leaves, and I saw these beautiful, dark, splashy, they have like a dark margin as well. They just look so stunning, and I think that I've really been enjoying this plant since I've put it on a trellis, because it's just like more organized looking. And yeah, all the leaves are just kind of like facing nicely. I've just been super happy with this one and really excited to grow it out. It's definitely different than any Hoya in my collection just because the leaves are so big. I've actually bloomed this once as well. It bloomed last summer for me, like right after I got it. So I don't think I could really take credit for those blooms, but it was really nice to see them. Hasn't bloomed for me since, no blooms this year or anything, but like I said, I did get this on a trellis recently, and I'm mostly just hoping for new leaves, to be honest. Like, it was nice to see the blooms, but I am mostly excited about the foliage on this Hoya. Now, this can actually sun stress really nicely as well. I took a cutting of this in the spring and then put it in right in my south window for, I guess, yeah, like the first part of the summer, and that cutting turned like completely purple. It was so cool looking. So maybe next year I'll consider popping this back in the window in the spring, and we'll see if I can get some sun stressing on her. But yeah, I just think that she's so gorgeous. She looks so just healthy and lush, and she's really just been making me so happy. So I actually have this sitting on top of the Millsbow wide now so that I can just admire it, but I probably should move it into higher lights so that it will continue to grow and be happy for me. I do have the like very young beginnings of a new leaf right there, so we'll see how that does. But yeah, just such a cool Hoya, so I had to, of course, include it in my favorites. Okay, the next one I'm going to talk about is my Begonia fannie moser, and I won't dwell on this one for too long because I did recently feature this in the last plant chores video, so we have seen her lately. But yeah, I can't not talk about her because I have been loving this plant, not only in the last few months, honestly over like the past year, and a lot of y'all have been loving her as well, because whenever this plant, like whenever there's even a glimpse of her in a video, I always get comments of people asking what she is. So yes, Begonia fannie moser, beautiful dark leafed, very like gothic looking begonia. She has these stunning red back sides as well, very easygoing, and yeah, she's just has to be one of my favorite cane begonias. If you're looking for something dark and moody, I highly recommend her. So yeah, I had to just quickly feature her, especially because it's fall. Like, it's just her time. I feel like I do have quite a few begonias on this list, so sorry but not sorry. Something about begonias, there's just so many like weird kind of spooky varieties. I feel like this really is their time of year to shine. So yeah, this is the first begonia on this list, and I am obsessed with her. Okay, switching it up a little, next I'm going to be talking about basically all my pings in general because they're all just doing so well, and I am in love with them, but especially my, oh my goodness, I just noticed another one of them is gonna flower. Especially my Pingdom or Pinguicula garden. I have just been so happy with this. I can't even tell y'all just how much joy this brings me, and that just really tells me how much like doing something creative with plant displays, how much that inspires me and just fuels my love for plants, because Yeah, this just brings me so much happiness every single day when I see it. So I thought that this would be the perfect time to give a little update and feature it in this video because it has been one of my absolute favorites over the summer. If you haven't seen the video where I put this together, I will link it in the description for you. But basically I have several varieties of Pinguicula here. This one was flowering, but the flower is just on its way out. That was so cute though, and I did just notice that this pink one right here is just forming a flower in there as well. So that one's gonna be flowering soon, and there's another flower on the way here, this little purple one down there. And I actually have two pinks flowering on the windowsill as well. So there's been so many, oh my gosh, there's a little flower forming on this one too. They're going wild in here. Oh, this is so, so cool. So this one here is living on my Vitro plant shelf behind me. So this is getting light from the 10-watt Brinas, is it the T5s, I think, that I have on there. So not even like a super strong lighting setup, but they're just very happy. They're still getting like the pink coloring, like sun stressing, and they're flowering. So yeah, I honestly, this has exceeded my expectations. I'm so happy with this setup. So yeah, if you've been thinking about doing a pingdom, do it. Do it. It is just so fun. Okay, so up next we have my Jessenia pothos. This is one of my Epipremnum that I have climbing on a pole. And I feel like over the past few months, just climbing Epipremnum in general, I've really been loving. Maybe even over the past like, yeah, 6 to 12 months. I feel like I used to always just think, you know, Philodendron or Monstera when it came to having plants climbing and sizing up. But now I have this one, my Marble Queen, and my Mandula climbing, and my Cebu Blue. So I have at least four Epipremnum climbing. And honestly, they're some of my favorite plants to grow on a pole. So I chose the Jessenia because she's just been standing out to me lately as a just really cool variety. A little bit different than, you know, the Marble Queen or the Golden Pothos, but still just as easy to grow and has stunning variegation. The Jessenia has more of yellowy kind of variegation. As you can see, she's just so pretty. She's not really sizing up like crazy or anything yet, because I think because she's not in a highlight spot, which I kind of knew when I put her there, but I just didn't really mind. I still think she looks so stunning, even just, you know, at this size. But yeah, just look at her leaves. Like, she looks so, so good. So yeah, she's just been really fun to grow. Perhaps I will consider moving her to a more highlight spot where she can really size up, because these can get massive leaves as they mature. So it would be cool to see, you know, the kind of potential of this plant. But in the meantime, I've just been enjoying her color and enjoying just how easygoing she is. So yeah, my Jessenia pothos. Okay, so next we have Philodendron verrucosum, another one that you've probably seen recently because I just cannot stop yapping about this plant, because it's actually grown to a somewhat, I mean, I know that this isn't large or mature, I know that, but for me this is a very impressive size because I find this plant to be difficult to grow out. I've always just been stuck with, like, you know, little leaves like this. So now that, you know, I'm getting leaves that are bigger than my hand, I just think that is so, so cool. And yeah, it just makes me really happy that I have been, you know, able to do this. And I've been putting a lot of effort into maintaining the moss pole and stuff like that. And it's actually paying off. This plant has been a great reminder to me and motivator for me to, you know, keep up with my moss poles and keep up with my watering and everything, because it obviously does pay off when you do that. Imagine that. This one does live in my south-facing window, so it does get pretty high light and seems to be happy with that. And because of that, the moss pole does dry out quickly. So I definitely, every second day, I need to be topping this up. And it's such like a massive moss pole too, so it really does just take a lot of water. This is like 6 feet tall. We also have a new leaf on the way, so how fun is that? Can't wait to see what that's gonna look like. It'll probably come out when I'm gone on my trip actually, but hopefully it'll be okay when I get back. Okay, so next up is my Syngonium frosted heart. Now this was a huge wish list plant for me. For like, this had been on my wish list since like 2020, and I finally got one, I think at the beginning of this year. Yeah, I definitely have not had this for a full year yet. I'm so glad that I was finally able to get my hands on this one. It has not disappointed in the least. Like, it has fully lived up to my expectations. I would say exceeded my expectations, because not only is it stunning, look at the strawberry pot too. Like, this is just the cutest ever. Not only is it stunning, but it's extremely resilient, extremely easygoing. Yeah, I've just had like the best and most straightforward time growing it. I will say the only thing that I've been noticing recently is that the newer leaves are not as frosty. Like, if you look at these top leaves, like, they're still stunning, but if you look at those in comparison to some of the older leaves, like, these just look way more frosty. So can this plant lose the frostiness? I don't feel like this would be like big enough for it to, like, if it was a case of losing the frostiness as it matured, I feel like this is not big enough for that to happen. So I don't know what's going on. It gets a lot of light. This is right under a Rousseau grow light. So I don't know what that could be about. If anyone has any insight on that, leave me a comment. If you have this plant and you've experienced the same thing, or, you know, if you haven't, let me know. But that's just something that I've been noticing over the past few weeks. But other than that, this plant is just like literally perfect. I couldn't recommend it enough. And I love that it's a climbing plant. I have it, you know, rooted into a moss pole here, but it's compact. And I think that that's something I really like. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my big moss poles with the massive, you know, my glorious, but that has like 2 feet long petioles on some of the leaves, so it can take up a lot of space. Whereas this is just, it's nice and compact. And yeah, I think I really like plants like that. Same with the Philodendron gigas. That's one that just like stays tight to the pole and yeah, takes up less space and just like looks nice and tidy as well. So yeah, this has probably been one of my favorite plants of the whole entire year, if I'm being honest. I do really love it. Okay, so next on my list is my stunning Monstera albo. This is a newer one to my collection. I got this as a cutting in June through a trade. I really was wanting, well, I've always kind of wanted a nice, marbly, highly variegated Monstera albo, and I had just never got my hands on one. I had another Monstera albo. I still do have a cutting from that one that was really low variegation, and I chopped it up, tried to get higher variegation, and it just wasn't working out as I hoped. I was kind of over that one and was like, well, you know, if I ever come across a nice, highly variegated one, I'm gonna grab it. And then this fell into my lap through a trade, like I said. So yeah, I'm super, super grateful for it. I love it so much. It's literally perfect, exactly what I wanted. And I feel so lucky to have one that is this nice now. And it has actually given me a new leaf since I got it. So this is the new leaf, and look at that. It has 2 fenestrations plus a nice, beautiful sectoral. I love the combination of marble variegation plus sectoral. It is just so, so stunning. It's doing really well. Healthy roots. It's living in a DIY pond mix in a self-watering pot here. And yeah, 0 complaints. I'm super, super happy with it. And of course, I have just been obsessed with it since it gave me this new leaf. I was so excited when I saw it coming out, and then I noticed that it was fenestrated, and then it unfurled, and I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm obsessed. So yeah, my Monstera albo. I feel like people aren't really excited about Monstera albo anymore because there's so many other rarer types of Monstera deliciosa, but I really do just still love and appreciate the albo so much. Like, I got myself an Hoya because that was like, you know, the cool Monstera, and my Hoya literally drives me crazy. Like, I would choose this one 10 times over before getting an Hoya again. So yeah, I don't know, I'm just super content with the Monstera albo. I feel like it just can't be beat. It's a classic. Speaking of classics, the next plant on my list is probably the most like classic cane begonia of all. I feel like this is the most popular one. This is Begonia maculata, and again, an oldie but a goodie. This was probably, was this the first? This had to be one of the first begonias that I ever got. Not this specific one, it was a different one, but Begonia maculata. And I remember, again, similar to Monstera albo, like, this plant was so hyped. It was all the rage. Everybody wanted one. I remember people literally going to Lowe's in their pajamas when the stock of these came in. Like that was the vibe. And now I feel like nobody loves her like that anymore, but I do, because this plant is literally so stunning. I think that it's super easygoing. I always get people commenting saying that they struggle with theirs, and I don't know, that's just never been my experience, if I'm being honest. I find this super tolerant to underwatering. I've been able to grow this in a variety of lighting conditions. I just find them very easygoing. So I don't know, maybe that's just been me, but yeah, it's just a classic, honestly. And now mine is getting so lush and full, and it's getting huge leaves. Like the size of these is just insane. I love the dark green foliage. Again, we have the red back sides, and there's just something about this plant that looks just so good once it starts getting really full and tall. It's just so pretty. For a while I didn't have one of these in my collection, but I'm really glad that I decided to go ahead and add it back in, because it does just make me so happy every time I see it sitting on my plant shelf. It sits at the bottom of my Visto shelf under, again, the Begonia T5s, and it's super happy with that. I fertilize all my plants right now just with Miracle Grow, if anyone's interested. So yeah, I have very like basic kind of plant care when it comes to stuff like that, but they don't seem to mind, honestly. So yeah, I'm super happy about that. And this plant has definitely been a favorite of mine over this summer. I've posted a couple of reels about it on my Instagram, so you may have seen it over the past couple of months as well. But yeah, just such a stunning one. Okay, we're gonna break up some of the begonias with an Anthurium. This has been by far the Anthurium that I've been the most impressed with, probably this year, honestly. This was one of my cartel down Anthuriums. This is a Goliath and Forgetii hybrid, I think. Why can I never remember literally any hybrid ever? I don't know, but that is what this is. So this Anthurium was just kind of doing like okay for a while. I could tell, like once it started to size up a little bit, I could really tell that I was going to love the shape and that this was going to be like dark and everything. But once it put out this leaf at the front is when it really just sealed the deal for me that this is one of my favorite Anthuriums in my whole collection. I love how dark it is. I love how it has the Forgetii shape. I love the veins. Just everything about it is perfect to me. And I would say that this has been fairly easygoing. It does live in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, so it gets higher humidity. But other than that, I would say it's been pretty easygoing because, well, to be honest, I don't really baby any of my plants that much. So I'm definitely not, you know, there's a lot of people that grow Anthuriums and give them like very specific nutrient solutions and very specific conditions and are like super on top of everything, and that's definitely not me. But I've still been able to get just such beautiful growth on this plant. Is it perfect? No. Like if you look at the older leaves, they're discolored and stuff. So it's not perfect, but honestly, I don't mind. Like it has a lot of leaves that look really nice, so that's good enough for me. Honestly, even if it only had this one leaf, that would be good enough for me. So yeah, it's just one that it's just really been standing out to me, and especially being in my cabinet, I feel like it just makes the whole cabinet look nice having this just beautiful dark velvety leaf right in the front there. So I think that this residue, is this from the, I did do the treatment, the pest treatment I've been doing. I did use that on this, so that might be what that's from, but yeah, just a stunning plant, and it kind of makes me understand why people love Anthurium so much. I will say that. Okay, we're ending off with a couple of begonias. I promise that they're good ones. These actually just came out of the IKEA cabinet alongside the Anthurium that I just showed you. So this first one is my Begonia malachosticta, and it's this stunning kind of like shiny velvety begonia with pink spots. I don't know if this lighting is really going to do her justice, to be honest. I might have to insert some footage of her in better lighting, but oh my goodness, I mean, from the moment that I got this begonia, I was in love with it. Okay, my camera overheated. I don't remember what I was saying, but pink, shiny, spotted begonia. Honestly, say less for me, at least. That is just all things that I love. And this has been, it does live in my greenhouse cabinet, like I said, but it's been very easygoing. I'm tempted to try growing it outside of the cabinet, but I'm also scared. Also, yes, she needs to be staked better. She's way overgrown. She just has this little stake here. She's actually literally still in a cup, so I should probably do a repot of this sometime soon. Yeah, I'm considering taking this out of the IKEA greenhouse and trying to grow it just in ambient, but I am scared to try that. So if anyone has any experience with that, leave a comment for me, because I would love to hear how that's gone for you if you've tried it. Just because she's getting so tall, I'm either gonna need to take her out of the cabinet, or I'm gonna have to trim her, or, you know, start her over from cuttings or something like that. But I'm just in love with her and had to feature her / give a little update on her, because she really has grown so much since I've really talked about her on my channel. So yeah, she's doing well and she's stunning. Okay, so the last begonia that I have to show you, and is this the 4th begonia on this list? I really did not intend for this to be such a begonia heavy favorites list, but I guess I've just been really loving my begonias lately, and like I said, this is kind of their time to shine. Okay, just to let go of a crispy leaf, that's fine. Especially for the melanobullata right here, because she is like the epitome of a weird, spooky plant. So this is definitely her time of year. In fact, I was thinking that we should do a repot with her and get her into like some cool kind of Halloween inspired planter. Because that would obviously just be fun for this time of the year. We'll see if we do that. But yeah, I chose this plant to feature because she's just been doing so well ever since I put her back in the cabinet. For a while, I did try to grow this plant in ambient, and that did not go well. I learned a lesson, an important lesson, that this plant does prefer living in higher humidity conditions. It's not super high humidity in the cabinet. It's usually around like 75%, usually 75 to 80%. But she's quite content with that. I have seen people grow this in ambient, which is why I tried it, but you know, it could be that where they live is just a more humid place, like different climate. So yeah, didn't work out super well for me. But as you can see, since I put her back in the cabinet, she has really been growing. She's looking like a full little plant now, and I love it. This is just such a cool begonia. Again, a plant that was on my wish list for literal years, and then I finally got it at the end of last year. So this is technically my first spooky season with this plant, which is very exciting. So yeah, I just had to show her off to you / give a little update. I'm gonna cut this one a little bit short because I have to get going. I have to take Olive to her nail trim appointment, which is honestly very traumatic for the both of us. We've been doing this for 11 years and doesn't get any easier because she hates getting her nails trimmed. So I have to grab some TREATs and get us ready to go. So wish us luck for that. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Really hope that you enjoyed seeing these plants, and a huge thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget, the first 500 people who click the link down below in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Other than that, oh, plant just fell over. Okay, I've got to get out of here. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.